Welcome to the 757 Renaissance Man podcast. On this episode, we chop it up with King Legend. We talk about just missing each other at the baby concert, discovering he had COVID and the trouble getting diagnosed, facing death head on, how his book Ventilator got its name, surviving after COVID, conspiracy theories with COVID and globalism, and we nerd out on cameras. Let's have a conversation with King Legend 757. What's good, family? This is another episode of the 757 Renaissance Man, and I'm here chopping it up with the one and only King Legend 757. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, man. I'm alive and well. Can't complain.
Hey, bruh, that's saying a lot in 2021. A lot of us that ain't here right now.
Yeah, it could have been me, but I'm here.
Yeah, bro. We're going to get into that a little bit later, too. But look, I found you on Instagram, and I was following you as a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was loving... I love how you always gave props to 757. And, you know, you represented 757, and all your photo shoots was somewhere that was recognizable. Like if you're from the area, you know that you were a photographer for the 757. So I was like, I started getting into photography a little bit last year, right before COVID started. Actually, I was starting a YouTube channel. And, once you start buying cameras, then that one comes with the other. Either you're a photographer that does video or you're a videographer that does photography, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching you trying to study your style, trying to get a little bit better. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
And we were at the same place at the same time, but I couldn't get to you. It was the baby concert in Hampton. Mm-hmm. You was down front. Yeah, I was working security for it. Yeah, I was working security. So I was on the other side of the gate, and you were taking pictures up front.
Yeah, I remember that night. It was a night to remember for sure.
Yeah, that was a crazy concert.
Yeah, it was. It's super lit, man. The vibes and the energy was strong.
So you see the Grays. I'm old head. So seeing the younger generation get down it reminded me a lot of us back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my 40s. What are you, in your 30s, 20s?
27, man. 27.
Oh, no, don't take it as because
No, you good. I'm just getting there. I'm gonna be up there with you one day.
Yeah. You come on up here. Get some of these on your chin, bro.
No, that's right.
So to see how the younger generation gets down was entertaining.
Yeah.
To say the least. It was very entertaining. Especially the young lady that decided to show her assets on stage.
Yeah. We all know about that. That was kind of crazy.
But what came front though, it would happen back in my day, but it would have been Keep Sweat or, you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I think that happens at a lot of concerts, to be real. I don't think that's uncommon to happen at a concert. You know what I'm saying?
I think my thing was this particular concert, my daughter was like, "Oh, Daddy, I want to go." Like, this was the first concert I worked, and she was like, "Well," and I'm like, "See, what if that would have been my baby girl up there?"
Yeah, nah, you wouldn't want that.
It's hot until you got to flip it. They're like,
like, cover your eyes.
Right, I would have been that dad on stage. Get your butt off the stage.
Yeah.
So, I want to get into your book.
Okay.
COVID came around last year and it changed the world. It changed how we operated. You were one of the first people that was open with his journey that I recognized locally, Mm-hmm. So tell me about that. Tell me about just one day being healthy and joyous, and then the next minute you don't know what's going on.
For starters, I think it's fair to say that You know, it was unbelievable.
Mhm.
For me, it was like, how did this happen? You know, COVID at that time was so new to us and Virginia as a whole that you know, there really wasn't a lot of information out there in regards to COVID. You know, be honest, at that time it was a lot of memes going
Mhm.
on the internet making COVID kind of a joke.
When were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed back in March.
So you were at the
Uh, the,
beginning. Yeah.
yeah, back in March. But the concert was in February, so
Hmm.
you know it won't from the concert that I
Yeah,
caught.
yeah, I
I can say
know.
that. Yeah, I know a lot of people they connect the dots. Like, well, you had never been at that concert, you would have never caught COVID. Like, nah, that was a month apart. So
You
don't
might
put
have
that
got
on.
you might have got the cooties, but not COVID.
Yeah, completely different vibe. I was feeling good after the concert, and a couple of weeks later,
Mhm.
COVID hit me. Like I said, in the beginning of March. And you know, it hit me so unexpectedly because even when I had it, it's really like, you know, all you hear is symptoms of COVID. You know,
Mhm.
they'd be like, oh, if you got a bad fever, or you got a cough, or you know, any symptom of that nature, you've been around someone that's exposed, you might be a prime candidate of someone who has COVID.
Mhm.
There was no sure thing back then. So when I say I got sick, for me, I just had a fever. You know, my fever just wouldn't break. So I'm the type of guy, I don't really go to the hospital for much unless it's really something going on. So I went to the hospital the first time, like, yeah, I got a fever, this thing ain't broke. I gotta see what's going on. This feel different. You know,
Mhm.
I went, they gave me an x-ray, they said I had bronchitis, they sent me back home. I was like, bronchitis. I mean, I assume that if you have bronchitis, you got a terrible cough. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Right.
that's just me. I assume like the traits of bronchitis is coughing or something of that nature, you know, and maybe congestion in your chest or something. I had none of that.
Mhm.
So I felt like it was a little off that my x-ray came back as bronchitis.
Mhm.
So I was like, a day later, I said, I'm still feeling like trash. Let me get a second opinion. So I went to Riverside Hospital. When I went to Riverside, my fever was still high.
Mhm.
Still wouldn't break. But they got my temperature down from, I think it was 102 at the time. They got it down to like 97. They sent me back home. Soon I got back home, fever shot right back up. Like I'm talking as soon as I got back home,
Mhm.
fever shot right back up. So now I'm at the point where I'm exhausted. I'm tired of going to the hospital. I'm like, yo, I'm not going back. They ain't doing that for me. And then the wait time is crazy because, you know,
Right.
they got to prioritize their patients.
Right.
You know, you walk in there talking about, so I got a fever. They're looking at you like, okay, this dude just got his arm shot off.
Right.
What you talking about? What you complaining about right now? You know, so by then I was just completely done with the hospital. I'm like, I ain't going back. You know what I'm saying? It's already enough that I went twice already. You know what I'm saying? So a third time, which is like out of the question for me.
Mhm.
So I just remember that third day, I'm sitting here. Remember, I already been to the hospital twice. I'm stubborn at this point. I'm like, I ain't going back. And, you know, it started to get worse. Like, I started to vomit. Like, I couldn't drink a bottle of water without throwing up. So
Mhm.
now more symptoms is coming as far as in that dangerous zone where you just don't feel comfortable, period,
Mhm.
you know. And so I remember going to the bathroom. I felt like I was about to throw up. I'm next to the toilet. I lost track of time. I don't know how long I was by that toilet, but my wife saw me and she was like, either you're going to the hospital or I'm calling the ambulance.
Mhm.
But you're getting out of here today. You know what I'm saying? Like, she didn't give me no options other than like either I was going to go. But one way or another, I was going.
Mhm.
And I was like, nah, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? You got to call the ambulance. But I'll go. But she caught me. I was laying on the floor next to the toilet.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So when I went to the hospital that third time, I went to Centaur Hospital. Remember, the first time I went to patient first to get a little quick checkup. The second time I went to Riverside. My third time I went to Centaur Hospital, all just to get a different opinion.
Mhm.
When I got to Centaur Hospital, doctor came back. He was like, Mr. Campbell, you got double pneumonia. That's what he
Mhm.
told me.
Okay.
Like double pneumonia in your lungs. And he was like, if I send you back home, most likely you ain't gonna make it. You
Because
know,
at that point, they really weren't checking for COVID.
nah, I mean, they was like, you got symptoms, you could have COVID, you're
Mhm.
showing COVID-like symptoms, but they wasn't like, you got, you know, there was no test available to
Mhm.
say, yeah, you tested positive for COVID right there. So I just remember him just giving me that news, like, "Hey, man, if you go back home, your chances of making it is not likely. The best thing I can do for you is like put you on a ventilator and see what happens."
Mm-hmm.
So imagine the mindset of I'm feeling good last week to getting news that if you go back home, you could die.
Mm-hmm.
That was
It's
a
hard to
crazy.
process.
Yeah, I was like, how?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then my mind started saying, like, oh, so this what it feels like to die? Because when you ask yourself, nobody really truly knows what it feels like to be in that state of I'm about to die.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people you see them, they like pass out, like they about to go to sleep. There's no like layout of this is what your body feels like
Right,
when you
right.
die.
If
We
you
know the
if you
phases you go through,
if
but
you
we don't
take
know what
these
that
checks
feeling.
off, you about to be out of here.
Yeah, like we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Unless you physically go through that, you really don't know.
Uh-huh.
You only seen it in movies and you heard about it.
Right.
You see the last breath in the film, like you see that,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't really know what it feels like to be in those last couple of moments. So for me, my first thing is, man, this would it feel like to die. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, am I really dying right now? That's what you're telling me. And I didn't know what a ventilator was.
Okay.
To make a long story short, I didn't know what a ventilator was. And so when he said, best thing we can do is put you on a ventilator, it didn't mean anything more or less to me.
Mm-hmm.
It just meant that there was an option that other than death.
Okay. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't like wary. A lot of people were like, was you scared when he said he's going to go on a ventilator? I was like, no, I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay. And the next thing I know, I'm out cold. I wake up 12 days later.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that's the long story short as far as why I named my book Ventilator and all of that nature. That's where it came from. That's the roots of it.
Mm-hmm. So when you came out of it, of course there had to be some recovery time.
Oh
How
yeah.
long was it before you came about your wits of yourself?
It depends on what version of myself are you talking about here. Like I literally just left physical therapy today, like a couple minutes ago. So it's been over almost a year, and it hasn't been over a year, but it's been almost a year. And I'm still going through physical therapy. There's a lot of things that you don't hear on the news about COVID-19. Like you're starting to hear a little bit more about it now because they've done a lot of research. But just saying from the transition of the news we knew before and now, you didn't hear a lot about people having long-term effects of COVID because it hadn't happened yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right. We hadn't had it.
Yeah.
It hadn't been circulating long enough for that to even be a thing.
Exactly. So now they got something called COVID survivors, long haulers.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you still feeling the effects of COVID 6 months, 8 months later. And those effects for some people is like shortness of breath. You still don't have that full energy, that level of energy you had before. You walk up a flight of stairs, you're exhausted. Those are kind of the long-term effects of COVID on a lot of people. And for me, what I'm saying, those effects were the fatigue, easily being fatigued, going up the stairs. I'm out of breath. Like, I'm talking, this is a different kind of out of breath. There's an out of breath like you out of shape, and then there's an out of breath like something ain't right.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference between the two, what I'm talking about. And so like for me, I had that effect. And then my main thing that kind of stuck with me from my encounter with COVID was nerve damage, which is another thing you don't hear a lot about. It's very common for people that have COVID to end up with nerve damage at some part in their body. That's a very common symptom during the recovery, depending on how bad you get it, of course.
Is it because of the lack of air that your brain gets, or
it probably has a lot to do with it. I'm not all the way sure. I ain't a doctor, obviously, but I know for a fact that that's a common thing they found in a lot of survivors. And me personally, mine was my right arm, so I ended up. And me as a photographer, that's everything. You know what I'm saying?
That's your button clicking finger.
Come on, man! Like
right.
what? Like and video. That's everything. So it was mentally a challenge for me, man, to really cope with everything that happened. And then that's just part of it, bro. There's a lot of stuff people don't even know. Like I tell them the main issue is because that affects them.
Right.
It ain't telling them the stuff that really affects me more. Like for example, I had foot ulcers on the bottom of my feet from basically it's like a bed sore from the pressure of not rotating that specific body part. Imagine a drop of water on your forehead. It don't hurt the first time it lands there, but that same drop at that same spot, it'll feel like it. Yeah, it feel like it drill a hole. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to pressure. So if I'm laying down on this bed for 12 days, not being moved or rotated, you know what I'm saying? The heel of my foot is in that same spot. So that pressure creates a foot ulcer. You know what I'm saying? Where your skin, I mean, it's ugly, bro. It's ugly. I wasn't wishing on nobody, you know what I'm saying? And I had to recover from that on top of gaining my muscle mass back, being able to walk again. You know, my first session of physical therapy in the hospital was just sitting up in my bed.
Okay.
Like, that's how weak my body was.
Yeah.
So you're talking about reconditioning your body to just be human, bro. You know, just walk, you know, stand up. You know, I started all the way over. And so
how much weight did you lose?
I lost 50 pounds in 12 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's only because when I was on the ventilator, I had some complications with my feeding tube. So I was vomiting while I was on the ventilator. Remember before I went to the hospital, I couldn't hold nothing down?
Right.
But that was still something I was going through while I was on the ventilator. So it was a lot of that going on. So I wasn't able to hold down food or the nutrition and stuff they were trying to give me. So I ended up losing weight. And then most of it was muscle mass I lost.
Wow.
Yeah, so.
But I can relate to you, bro. I got this. This is I have what's called an LVAD, and it's like an artificial heart. Like the left side of my heart is a machine.
Wow.
And one of my symptoms before I had the surgery was that breathing that you're talking about, like wanting to be able to breathe and just can't get enough air into you that you just got to sit down somewhere. Like, you know, mentally.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, you want to do it, but you're like, I just can't today, you know. So I feel you on that. I know that frustration.
And it plays a huge role in you progressing too, man, because like you want to get better, you want to recover. Like you got this drive. You know, I don't know about everybody, but you know me, you know, based on my hard work and everything I was doing, like that ambition is high for me. So I want to get up and do things. I want to get up and move. So being able to move forward means everything to me. I want to get past it. I want to bury COVID in the ground. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be stuck in that moment. And that's what's hard, mentally speaking, is getting past that moment, bro. It's like a rain cloud, you know, just over your head. Every day you see that nerve damage in your arm. It's like a constant reminder, like you're not all the way back yet.
Yeah. Right.
You know, you got to fight that every single day. So I continue to stay positive, and that's what's key into moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah, man, you got to. Yeah. But you're. I wanted to have you tell that particular story because it's a lot of people out here that they're taking it lightly, and they don't think, you know, it can't happen to me. You know, I'm young, I'm healthy. It's just for old folks. But COVID can affect anybody.
Yeah, for sure.
And it ain't no telling, like you said, there's no telling what effects it's going to, it treats different people differently. Like your symptoms may be different than the next person's symptoms. Just because you know somebody that had it and they didn't get hospitalized, well, the dude down the street, he's on a ventilator.
And I felt the need to share my story, man, because it's just so many misconceptions about COVID out there, and nobody that really can talk from experience to speak on it. Exactly. You know, what I mean by that is people catching COVID all over the globe. But let's say in 757, for example, how many people you know personally can tell you they had COVID to the extent that I had, you know, ended up in the hospital, hospitalized, to really talk about the realism of it. You know, there's a lot of speculation like COVID could be this, COVID could be that. This is what I heard. But what about what you actually know from experience? You don't have a lot of people sharing those stories.
Right. And then I just had a friend of mine pass a couple of weeks ago from COVID. And it came out of nowhere. They think he caught it from somebody at work. His story is similar to yours, where He lived in Newport News. He went to Riverside first.
Mhm.
Riverside kept him for like 4 or 5 days, but it was like they didn't really know what was going on or what to do with him.
Mhm.
And then finally, his wife stepped in and had him taken to Centera.
Yeah.
And he lived the rest of his life at Centera. But it was just to see him go from healthy to having COVID, and then on top of COVID, he had pneumonia.
Mhm.
And just to see somebody break down like that just a few weeks ago was, running and playing with their kids.
That's the scary part about it, man. So when you tell people out here to be safe and treat COVID serious and know that it's not a joke, it's really in essence saying like, hey, man, you might if you catch it, you could get over it tomorrow, but there's always that chance. There's always that possibility. You just never know. It might be your exit out of this world, so you can't take it for granted.
Right.
You can't sit here and play around with it like it don't exist. And I've been looking at the trends and stuff like that that's going on the internet right now, and I'm starting to see that a lot of people are getting comfortable,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are getting comfortable. You're starting to see more people in the club. You're starting to see more people. They got their mask around their face, but they're not wearing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point of having
Yo,
your mask at
nothing gets on
all?
my nerves more than when you out and somebody got their nose out their mask.
Come on now,
It's
like
like
that's
you might as well
crazy.
not even wear it.
You just got it as an accessory.
Right.
Like you really ain't got the mask. You got the mask to say I got it. You know what I mean? But you ain't wearing it. That's like having a.
I'd rather you just be a G and just be like, I ain't gonna wear it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like having a seatbelt in your car, but it ain't gonna help you if you get in an accident if you ain't got it on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you got your mask on your face, but you got it around your ear hanging,
Mm-hmm.
well, it ain't serving no purpose.
Exactly.
And then of course, we got these venues. They don't want to pursue the issue because that's their money maker.
Mm-hmm.
They customers.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't gonna kick your customers out the door. Hey, they
Especially
got a mask that's good
because
enough
they
for me.
hurting and they hurting right now. So
Correct. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So that means they're gonna allow it to spread like wildfire. As long as they building don't burn down, they good. That's how they look at it.
it's all about that dollar.
It's all about the dollar. That's why a lot of these states are opening up their laws and lifting them and making sure that everyone can go back to full capacity.
Bro, let me tell you, I'm not going to Texas. Can't nobody come from Texas to visit me. I don't even want to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre on TV.
Yeah,
And Dallas is my team.
come on now.
The Cowboys is my squad. I'm not going to see them. I don't care if I got a free ticket and Jerry Jones send me the plane. I'm not going.
Yeah, and it's weird, man, because I got mixed emotions about it, man. Because I want people to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to enjoy themselves, and I want society to go back to normal. But the question I keep getting across is how, bro? How? It's just not enough people taking it serious.
Yeah, not enough people sit like my grandma said, sit your butt down. Ain't nobody doing that. Just
You
sit
got people
down.
screaming. You got people screaming. I've been sitting my butt down. I'm about to take my chances.
Yeah,
That's what's going on now.
Yeah.
That's basically what's going on. The people that were cautious, they enjoyed the little vacations at first. Now they done had it so long, they like, all right, man, I gotta live.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm about to do. I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna turn up and live my best life. You only live once.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay.
And I've gone through it even with my kids. My daughter, she just turned 14. She couldn't have a birthday party like she wanted to have a birthday party.
Exactly.
I know they're tired of being in the house and all, but
Oh yeah.
And I think though, as looking at other countries, if we all got on the same page, we could have. I ain't gonna say totally eradicated, but we could have squashed it a long time ago.
Yeah, I believe that, but I think it's hard, man, because and there's another whole scoop. I believe it's man-made. Okay, there it is. I said it. I think COVID is man-made. So that means if it's man-made, it only makes sense that every time they come out with a vaccine, there's another strain of COVID. They're sitting out there that they're countering what's already happening. If you got a vaccine that can stop it, and they get in there in the laboratory, they say, all right, boom, we're going to counter that vaccine with this. Now, all of a sudden, there's a new strain of COVID out for every vaccine. How many different strains of COVID exist? And why is it that every time a vaccine come out, we find out about a new strain of COVID?
Now, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but
It's
I
all
was
good. Be one.
I
That's
was
just the
I
real
was
of it.
reading the other day about how there might be some um, evidence of it being not really all right, it's not purposely manufactured,
Mhm.
but a research facility was doing experiments and stuff, and it kind of got out of hand, almost like a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like they trying to work with it, maybe even try to find a cure for it, but they mishandled it. Somebody got sick, didn't realize it or hit it, got
yeah.
out in the public, and it spread like wildfire.
I'm gonna take you real left field on this one. Just see if you can follow me. Why the heck do you think we got nuclear bombs in the world? Why do we have nuclear missiles on this planet? Why do we have something so devastating it can almost destroy an entire country with one strike? Why do we have this kind of technology? And then ask yourself this question: on the opposite end of that, if your country or your nation do not have technology to compete with that, as far as a direct strike, what would you do to counter that?
Mm-hmm.
Make sure nobody live.
Right, right.
It's ironic that COVID is global. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's ironic that it's not just in one region on the planet. It's spreading like wildfire across the whole globe. So if you're
But
talking
I mean that
conspiracy,
that kind of got to go. That kind of has to go with the whole nationism versus globalism thing,
yeah,
and the way the world has come to. People don't stay, especially when people with money,
yeah,
especially people with money trying to make money. So
yeah,
think about the United States. Back in the 60s and 70s, people had manufacturing jobs, right?
mm-hmm.
And you can make a good living, you take care of your kids, retire, get your little pension or whatever, right? These companies found out that they can do the manufacturing in like China, pay them pennies on the dollar, and
Mm-hmm.
then all the business went there. So the Americans, you lose your job, you're not as successful, things get harder here.
yeah,
One of the byproducts of that is now you got to send somebody back and forth to check on your product. See what I'm
correct.
saying? So
Yeah,
now you're not just staying in your local area. You have to travel globally to ensure that your business is running.
yeah,
And that's one reason why it spread the way it spread, you know? And think about it, man, especially with China. What in your house is not made in China?
everything. Something in your house made in China, or as I
Right.
don't know if you live in the United States or not.
And it's like that for most of the world.
yeah,
So if something starts in China, it has an easy path to spread all across the world. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Because you got, I mean, not saying it was done purposefully, but you got a warehouse in China full of your products. Somebody in that warehouse has to take that product and put it on the plane. Then
Mm-hmm.
they come in contact with the person that's flying the plane. The person
Mm-hmm.
flies the plane, leaves your warehouse in China, goes to Europe, drops off some packages, picks up some more packages from another warehouse, comes in contact with the dude that works there. Now he got it. Then they take that same plane and fly to the United States to drop off the stuff that was ordered in the United States. You come in contact with those people at their airport. Now they got it. And now they take it home. Then they spread it. And then one person gets it, then two people, then 10 people. And that's just how it is, you know?
It's crazy, man. It's
And
crazy.
it goes back to globalism,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm not saying is right or wrong, but that's just, I don't think back in those days, when they made those original decisions to let's not pay our workers, let's go ahead and send our products over there, pay them pennies on the dollar so we can make more money, they weren't thinking of the byproducts of what could have happened with that.
Yeah.
Not only just like diseases and stuff like that, but they're not even thinking about now, you didn't mess up the market at home. People can't get good jobs. Health insurance is crazy. You know what I mean? All that
Yeah,
is it goes back to that same type of decision.
it's a chain reaction, man. And
Right,
something
right.
affects somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So how long did it take you to write your book?
I immediately started writing my book probably about a month after I got home.
Mhm.
A lot of people started hitting me up and kept asking me similar questions. And so I said, man, I'm gonna just write it down in a book. It's not my first book I've ever written
Mhm.
before. So I'm already familiar with the process of writing a book and everything like that. So I figured, why not just go ahead and write it down in a book, and it helped me process everything that had just happened.
Mhm.
You know, so writing a book for me was more like therapy. And
Okay.
I put down everything. There were certain things I put in the book. I was like, I don't know if I should include that. It might be a little bit too much information.
Right.
It
Right.
might be a little uh, personal, too personal.
Mhm.
I was like, nah, I got to keep it real. I got to let them know the whole deal.
Yeah.
So I included it in the book, and I think that's why people really, really felt some type of way about it when they read it. They felt really attached to it because it was like I was taking you on my journey, really walking you through the day.
Mhm.
Everything I was going through.
Did you self-publish?
Yeah, through Amazon.
Nice, nice.
Ended
Okay.
up being a number one new release.
Awesome.
Yep, it
All
was
right.
pretty
So
good, man.
I got you on tape. So when I bring my copy over there, I can get that autograph, right?
Yeah, man, you got it.
All
Yeah,
right.
I've been
No
signing
bet.
them.
On a lighter note, what kind of cameras do you shoot with?
I like the 6D Mark II. You
Okay, so you're a
know,
Canon man
definitely a Canon minute.
all day.
You probably know my homie Keith Sneed or K Sneed Photos.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. Me and him always joking. He go back and forth with the Nikon versus the Canon. That's kind of our thing. But yeah, I gotta stay loyal to Canon, man. They ain't never let me down.
So, what's your favorite lens?
50 millimeter, man. I got to. It's just something about that bokeh effect and that the clarity and the sharpness of that lens. I love it.
1.4, 1.2.
I like 1.2.
Yeah.
I gotta go 1.2.
I'm shooting with a 50 millimeter now.
Yeah, that low light
Yeah.
is everything.
I'm cheating though. I'm using a mirrorless camera with a speed booster.
It ain't cheating. You
So
just ready for whatever you need.
I got it's a 1.8, but now it's shooting at 1.2.
Yeah. The lenses changes the game. A lot of people used to ask me back when I was taking my photos, like, um, it doesn't matter what lens you use. Like, to me, I'm like, duh.
Yeah.
You can't get it out the package and expect it to really look the same. You know what I'm saying? You got to do some adjustment, some tweaking. And to be honest with you, you can find lenses that cost more than the camera itself. The
And
camera is just the
that's what
body.
I'm finding
Yeah,
out. I'm rather invest more in my lenses than my
yeah,
bodies.
for sure.
So
The body is durable. And you
mm,
can find you a solid camera that's old, like 2005, and it's still shooting like it's 2020. You know what I'm saying? Because it's really the body, but the kit is
mm,
that lens. That's
mm.
what you need to go with it. It's like putting new parts in an old car. As
And
long as that
lenses
body is good,
they never depreciate.
never.
Bodies depreciate, but lenses don't ever depreciate.
Exactly. Most important thing, especially if you're using one of those cameras with the shutter, is that shutter because that's everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main function of your camera as a body.
So how do you feel about mirrorless?
I think they smooth. I ain't got no problems with them. I think everyone got their own perception of what they want to use, and mirrorless is just another item on the shelf to
I
me.
I don't know if I'm going back to DSLR though.
Why not?
I, I like the compactness of the mirrorless cameras.
Yeah.
I notice how they got Canon has a new mount, the RF
Hmm.
mount. So everything is gonna start going to RF.
Yeah.
So, I think the EFS lens are dead. EF lenses will always reign, and then
Yeah.
you got RF, and I don't want to go backwards.
Absolutely. I mean, just for the sake of the people who might be listening who don't
Because I
feel
know
like they got.
we totally went over a whole lot of people's head.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just about to say, like, for the sake of people listening that might be on a budget and don't feel like, hey man, that's cool. I can't afford that lens, or I can't do this or get that. Look, it ain't always the lens.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's your level of creativity
Yeah.
that makes the photo. And most of the time it's your level of creativity
Mm-hmm.
that makes the photo. Being able to use that lighting and telling a story with your photos versus just snapping a shot. I think that's where it starts at. That's
I
the
think the
root.
very first thing that you need to do is get off that green button.
Yeah.
Get
Go
out.
manual.
Yeah, get out
Yeah.
of. Just play with manual. I remember when I got my camera, I took a couple of pictures in auto and then I put it in manual, and was frustrated for 2 weeks.
Yeah. It
But
can
after
happen.
that 2 weeks, though, I could understand the limitations of my camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And once you learn your manual, you don't want to switch back.
yeah, right,
You
because
know,
you got total control. Like
absolutely.
I was doing dumb stuff. Like I had my ISO set way too low and couldn't figure out why I wasn't snapping the picture, and I went
Or
through
way
all
too
that.
high.
Yeah,
Before you knew anything about shutter speed, you
yeah.
were just learning your ISO. You shot that thing all the way up to 2400 when you ain't need it. You're like,
Exactly.
oh man, I didn't know I could still get good pictures like this without that. I just gotta change the f stop and the shutter speed. That's it.
Yeah, it took a
You know?
good 2 weeks, and then it all started to make sense. But it takes that.
Yeah,
You're
man.
going to get frustrated.
One of the coolest things I learned when it came to low light photography was focus.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to focus in low light if your camera don't have that autofocus beam
Yes.
that puts it on a person. So when I used to go to Queensway, that was one of the first places I started like taking my low light stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the environment, everyone's kind of moving around, it's real fast paced. And so I remember watching a YouTube video. I can't remember about who made it, but they said take a little laser, ran like a cat little toy,
Yeah.
like laser, and point it on your subject, and then hold your camera up, and it's going to focus on that beam, and your subject going to be in complete focus. You don't even need a flashlight. That's what was crazy about that. And, I started using that because at first what I was doing, I would go out and say, hey, y'all want a picture? Because my camera, the equipment I was working at the time, I was taking my cell phone, I was turning the light on. I was trying to get it to focus. I was like, 1, 2, 3, smile. I got it locked, put the camera down, and then focus. Man, it was so embarrassing trying to get that focus and that group photo together. You be looking stupid as I don't know
And
what.
when I first got mine, I turned the beam off because I thought
Yeah.
it was corny.
Yeah.
And then I realized, that little beam does help.
Yeah, it means all the world. That's the difference between focusing and zero light.
Mm-hmm.
Focus is key when you're talking about clarity.
So I found that, and I'm sorry, y'all, we just going to be talking cameras today because I got somebody to talk to.
That's how that go.
Besides lenses, I think the next and most important thing is your lighting choice. Like that's what I'm learning about now. I'm trying to perfect my lighting.
Well, I honestly, I think your lighting choice would come first. Because that's going to determine.
It should. But when you first get out, you get your camera and you're like, I got a camera. So now I want a lens.
Yeah,
but then you don't
that's
realize, my lens. I upgraded my lens. But then I got better lights.
Yeah.
And that made the lens come alive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And what changed the game for me was the strobes, bro.
I'm messing with the game. That's what I'm trying to get into now. I got I've been using the speed lights. Now I've been playing with the speed lights, and I got 3 of them, and I got the little controller. So I'm playing with adjusting one light to be a certain brightness, another one to be a certain brightness, and having them in 2 or 3 different places. Having the light at the back, the little hair light, and all that.
Yeah, being able to take your camera and then walk back like a whole 30, 45, 50 steps and have your light right still up there on your subject and getting that focus and that sharpness and still capturing the features of the face is everything.
That's my next move is going from speed lights to real strobes.
Yeah, that makes all the difference.
So my whole thing is I love buying nice stuff cheap.
Yeah, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Right, and I ain't scared to buy nothing used. You know what I'm saying?
As long as I'm a firm believer in As long as it gets the job done, you got what you need.
Yeah.
Because if you're going for the brands, they're gonna sell you the same thing and put their label on it and cost you more. It's gonna charge you more just because of their brand.
Yeah.
You're paying for
And
the brand.
I found that with the speed lights.
Yeah, you're paying for the
Canon
brand.
speed lights, they want $200 something, $300, but you get
Absolutely.
what's that, Yungyo?
Yup. Yeah.
They're like $60.
Exactly.
Do the same thing.
Get the same job done.
Do the same
You know, because
thing.
ultimately, if you're going to edit, you're going to edit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep it real. So the speed light is part of the process. The rest is post, what you do after.
Right.
You know, your edit. So now that's all on you. That's where your level of creativity comes in. You know, some people prefer Photoshop, others prefer Lightroom.
Mm-hmm.
That's all on you. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day. So I think the quality of your photo has a lot to do with creativity, the actual picture of what you're doing, the story behind it. I think a lot of people forget about that. You can just take a picture of someone's face, call it a headshot, or you can take a picture of someone in front of a sunset and create a mood.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? There's difference.
Right. And it's so, you know, like I said, I started on the video side. So lighting, it's similar, but it's different at the same time. Because, you know, with video, it's more so constant lighting and making things dramatic and playing off the shadows. But that same playing off the shadows, I was using the same techniques with speed lights, trying to get the effects that I can get. Like, I know if I take this light here and take it down and then bring this over and get that, like that little Rembrandt, you know,
more
what I'm
dramatic.
saying? Yeah. So making this happen with a speed light, that's what I try to, you know, go for. Or a similar light, and it may not have to be this the same thing. Like, 'cause so now, if it was me, I would want more light back here somewhere off, you know what I'm saying, off frame.
You know, one of my favorite things I used to do with the photos, I love smoke photography, bro.
Yeah.
Smoke photography, it is, for the record, it's not legal, technically speaking, you know, but hypothetically speaking, if you were to do some smoke photography, it is super dope. Pick a good color scheme, and I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. It would make your level of creativity go from basic to above average in just one shot. Like, and then when you put up that, you just get the snaps going. You capture in a different way. So the thing about smoke photography is there's no two photos that look exactly alike because the smoke changes with the wind.
Right.
So you might end up with that one killer shot that just, hey, you like, this is it. You know what I'm saying? And it's way different. It just takes everything on a different level. And the thing about smoke photography, it ain't got to make sense. You know what I'm saying? You could just be sitting on a swing set and throw some smoke on the ground. And now all of a sudden you done created a whole different environment.
Yeah. The haze.
Yeah. It's lit, literally.
Well, we're gonna have to get into some things. It's starting to warm up outside. And like we was talking about earlier, people tired of being in the house. But
for sure.
It was too cold. I really got into portrait photography like in November, like doing sunrises and sunsets and stuff. I'm trying to do it all, you know, natural lighting. And just when I started getting good at it, it was too damn cold. Like I was out there and I couldn't adjust my camera because my fingers was too cold. You know what I mean? It
makes a difference, man, for sure. Even in the outfit changes, you know, all of it plays a huge role. The weather is huge. Anything you're doing outdoor photography is huge. But I will say I've tried my fair share of different styles of photography. And you won't believe this when I tell you, the hardest photography for me is real estate photography. Bro.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And it's so many things. You think lighting is difficult when you're shooting portraits. Try real estate where there's no shadows underneath your desk. There's no shadows underneath the back of a TV screen. Like, how? First of all, you know what I'm saying? Like, there ain't that many strobes in the world. There ain't that many lights in the world. You got to really know how to balance your light when you're doing real estate photography. I remember my first time attempting it. I was in there. It should have been a quick little shoot. It took me like 2 hours to get that thing right because it was something new to me.
Okay.
And I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it like that. I don't like it, but some people love it.
Yeah.
Some people, that's their bread and butter, doing the real estate photography. There are companies that will pay you to go take pictures of their properties.
Yeah, I got a partner, and that's all he does.
Yeah, you get paid just to go out to take pictures of their property because they don't live here in this state, but they want to sell real estate out here, like wholesaling, things of that nature. So it's lucrative if you can get on it like that. But for me, I think that was the toughest, But I fell in love with videography. I fell in love with that because so many people used to come up to me and be like, "Hey, you shoot videos?" And you'd be like, "Nah, I don't shoot videos." And then eventually you just like, "I'm not stupid. I can learn how to shoot videos." Right. I'm sick of telling people I can't shoot videos. And then you end up just falling behind that one guy that does both. You're like, "All right, look, I shoot videos. I taught myself how to shoot videos, and it's lit." That was probably one of the best marketing things I was able to do.
You play with any gimbals?
Gimbals, of course, that changes your game when you're talking videography. Messing with a gimbal is like changing your lens. It's like they go hand in hand when you're talking about quality of your videos. Nobody want that shaky camera. You can get away with it depending on the style of video you're shooting because that's actually a style of being handheld is a whole style when it comes to videography. But most people don't want their entire video handheld.
Right, all shaky.
Yeah, like maybe certain clips here and there is cool, but the entire video, they could do that with a cell phone.
Yeah, see, and that's one of my problems. It's like I got so much going on right now. It's hard to. All right, so one day I would take a day and just work with my camera. Then I'll take a day and work with lighting, and then I'll get a project where I can work with my gimbal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like. I know it takes more time. But I don't feel like I'm mastered all of that yet.
The key is to master each thing one at a time. Don't try to study more than one course. Get what I'm saying? It's going to be hard to figure out how to pass each test. If you're in school, you get one class of one subject. Now, if you was in that one class and they were teaching you 20 subjects in a week, how often you think you'll pass your test?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So you got to figure out what it is you want to learn now, master that, and then move on to the next one. A lot of people, they try to do too much. You're trying to learn lighting. You're trying to learn your posters. You're trying to learn everything at one time. Don't hurt yourself like that. You know what I'm saying? Just focus on one thing.
Sometimes the projects come that way though.
They do, but then that's when you call on your homie and they say, if you're good at you networking, right. Hey, you're almost like you scratch my back, I scratch it. I look out for you, you look out for me. And that's a good vibe to have anyway, because it's community out here. That's one of the things I tried to do when I was really taking my photography series was really bring the community. It's a culture. I really wanted to bring everybody together. That's why we'll host those photography meetups and things of that nature, because it's like having a team, bro. Like you got your own brand, I got my own brand. You trying to win, I'm trying to win. Hey, when the numbers come up and I'm too busy and I can't do a shoot because I'm booked out crazy, I'm only one person. Hey, look, I apologize. I'm not able to do the shoot for you right now. I'm extremely busy at the moment, but I do got a dope photographer right over here. He ain't gonna let you down. I can vouch for him. I wouldn't send you anybody crazy.
I'm looking at because you mentioned your boy Sneed. I'm looking at the lighting courses that they do, and I'm thinking about taking one of those.
You should, man. It ain't gonna do nothing but help you. That's one thing I will tell people.
Yeah. And it's good to. I mean, YouTube is cool, but it's good to have a hands-on experience and see how right then and there what your product should be.
Everything I know now about photography, I know who taught me. You get what I'm saying? I still got a relationship with all of them. I never tried to act like I knew everything or I got all the answers. I think that's the first step. You got a lot of people, they feel like they've been in the game for X amount of years and, hey, you can't tell me this. They're like, okay, I know I'm younger than you. I know this. You got it. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep it real. We living in a digital age. That's the That's when I was born. You feel? I was born for this, and I understand. You know everything there is to know about film photography. Don't get me wrong, but I can teach you a thing or two about digital. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Don't take it the wrong way, you know. Right. But there's some people that really get stuck in their like grandfather moments where, nah, I'm not gonna listen to you, youngin. You know, and that translates to a lot of different areas of being creative, you know, in the world. But specifically speaking with photography, man, I think it's important that you really find a mentor, you know, someone, and have more than one mentor, because photography is huge.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about lighting, you can talk to somebody that's dope at lighting. You're talking about the effects. You can talk to someone
that's dope. so many ways to do. You can do newborn photography.
Yeah, so it's different lanes.
I'm looking at now. I'm getting into the people that are doing the abandoned building photography. That's dope. I mean, it's so, and you just got to find out what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, it's definitely different lanes, man. But I think above all, the most important is definitely lighting. You get that lighting down pat, then you'll be able to be more versatile in different things you do because you understand what plays a role in it, you know, when you're trying to make certain decisions.
Yeah, that's my next stop is some really nice strobes.
And then we can't sleep on landscape photography either.
Yeah.
Can't sleep on them. You know, that's super dope. Making the light just look like beams and, you know, like the city lines and all that cool
slowing
stuff.
Slowing down your shutter speed so you get them trails and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So can't sleep on them either.
All right, we didn't alienate a lot of people. Let's get back.
Yeah, for sure.
When did you start your podcast and what was your inspiration?
I started my podcast in July. You know what I'm saying? King Legend Talks, everybody. You know what I'm saying? I started it back in July of last year. And the reason I started my podcast was because of my nerve damage to my right arm. Obviously, we've been talking about photography. You know I'm passionate about it. And it kind of hit me hard when I wasn't able to pick up my camera anymore. So I was like, man, I could sit up here all day long, complain about what I can't do at the moment. Of course, there was those people who was like, hey, man, you might not be able to do photography the way you used to, but you put it on a tripod. Nah, bro, that's not what I want to do. You don't get to tell somebody that played in the NBA that they can go back and play on the rec yard.
Pee Wee League, right?
No, that's just not happening. That's never going to be fulfilling for me if that's really my passion. So, me personally, I was like, well, maybe I should take this time while I'm working on getting my arm back together to start focusing on another way to be creative. And a lot of people used to always tell me, even when I was shooting photos, like, look, man, you got that radio voice. You should think about radio, you know, something like that. I always put it on the back burner, laughed it off, like, haha, yeah, all right, that's cool. So I ended up starting the podcast because I was like, you know, photography is my passion. That's my dream. I've always been following my dream. I wonder how many people have the ability to go pursue their dream and are scared to do so or don't want to. So I was like, maybe if I use my story to help other people follow their dreams, I can do some good with the second chance of life I've been given. I don't want to waste any breath that I now have, you know, because I could have died back in the hospital on that ventilator.
Right.
God could have been like, it's over for you. But he was like, nah, you still got purpose. So now I feel like I found my calling when it comes to reaching out to people and helping other people get inspired, you know, based on the stories of other people. So I invite celebrities and influencers in my podcast and kind of let them express, you know, the realness of their stories, not just the diamonds and the flashy cars. So that's all the people see. And they're like, yo, you so lucky. When they like, nah, bro.
Right. There's
no
such thing as an overnight success.
Exactly. It's like, look, man, this ain't just happened overnight, man. I want people to understand that journey, because that's what I'm on. You get what I'm saying? The relationship of my show and what I'm trying to talk about is that journey to get to that destination that people now see. You know, it's a whole road to success that people don't notice. They only notice the final destination. They see the mansion, they see the car. They don't know when this person was sleeping on the couch. You know what I'm saying? They don't know, and this person didn't know where his next meal was coming from. Like that was a reality to them. You know, by the time you see somebody make it, it's already been almost 10 plus years put into that work that you just completely didn't know about because you only seeing what social media shows you.
Right.
You know, and so I like to bridge that gap between the road to success, you know, and that's why a lot of people relate to the show. You know, it's really like you seeing somebody that made it, and it's from all walks of life. So it's not just your musicians or your music artists. It's like, you know, I got athletes up there, I got doctors up there, everybody, all walks of life. And there's a story out there for someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
sure.
how hard was it getting affiliated with iHeartRadio?
It really wasn't hard getting an affiliate with iHeartRadio based on probably the type of people I had on the show in the beginning. You know, I had a lot of support, you know, from just out the gate, you know what I'm saying, with Boston Scott, running back of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's almost like having a lot big endorsement. And that was built relationships through, you know, just networking and hitting people up on Instagram and then going through the proper channels to pursue iHeartRadio.
So did your podcast existed on platforms before iHeartRadio?
Correct. And
Okay.
they still do. It's on iHeartRadio, but it's also available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, things of that nature. But obviously, with my partnership with iHeart, I only promote iHeart. But that's just the real of the situation.
Right.
But it's been an impressive, quick journey to say the least. You know, it has a lot to do with networking, bro. That's all I can tell you. Network, network, network. That's all I can tell you. That's the secret sauce. Anybody want to know the secret? Network.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes.
And
And
that's very true. It's
yeah,
very true.
absolutely. So, you know, anything you do, you want to study your craft. You want to know the ins and outs about it. Just like when you're a photographer and you want to learn photography, you're not just going to hold your camera in your hand and say, all right, what now? You're going to go on YouTube. You're going to start looking up, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah.
You know, how do I do that? Well, in any walk of life you choose, any path you're going, you want to know who walked that path. What do they do? So the first thing you should do is look up the people who are successful in your industry.
Nice.
And once you find the people who are successful in your industry, then you need to figure out, well, how did they get there? So now you're learning from their experiences, so you don't have to take the long road because you done already had your GPS set on your destination.
Exactly. Oh
You
boy,
get what I'm
boy, you
saying?
about to preach up in here, boy.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's just the reality of the situation. I don't understand how people get involved with something and don't want to know what's about. I don't want to know what my if I'm involved with flipping burgers, I want to know the best way to do it and the most time efficient way to do it.
Exactly.
Okay. I ain't got a still Burger King recipe, but I can learn from Burger King because
And then
they've
do
been in
your
the game.
own, right? And then do
You
your
know what I'm
own,
saying?
improve on it.
Exactly. You know, that's how you really get ahead is by learning from other people's mistakes.
All right,
You
one
know?
last subject, and we're gonna really cut it short.
Okay.
Are you getting the vaccine?
Am I getting the vaccine? Right now, I can't because it's not safe based on everything I've been through,
Okay.
according to my doctors. Now, putting that to the side, will I get the vaccine? That's future tense. I want to get the vaccine just like people want to be safe. I want things to really work out for everyone. I'm a firm believer in, you know, trial and error, but I don't want to be a part of the trial and error. So a vaccine, when it's safe and it's considered normal, and people, you know, just like we didn't know anything about the long haul effects of COVID because it was too new. That's how I feel about the vaccine. As of right now, it's new. So you really don't know the 6 to a year effects of getting the vaccine yet. We still gotta wait. Those results are pending. You get what I'm saying? Once that's done, and they like, all right, these we done a research and 100,000 people that took the vaccine, no side effects. A year later, they're good to go. All right, bet I'm taking my vaccine. That's the best way I can explain it.
Well, I'll let you know because I took mine.
Yeah, and you know, my mother-in-law took hers. You know, it ain't nothing wrong with it. I encourage people to take it, so I'm able to have those pending results.
Right.
How about that? Hey, you see what I did there? Yeah.
Yeah, I took it. It wasn't that bad. I think the second one was worse than the first one.
Yeah.
The first one I just had a sore arm. The second one, I had like flu-like symptoms for a day. I had a fever. I was real achy. You know how your joints get achy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the next morning I was cool.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm happy you took the vaccine. You're showing initiative to be safe. I know my antibodies have expired by now,
Right.
you know, but I'm definitely not putting myself in harm's way and going out. The only place I really go is to my doctor's appointments, physical therapy, and occasionally to the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it, you know. Oh, in the barbershop. I do go to the barbershop.
Yeah.
But that's it, man. I'm going from point A to point B and back home.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I've been carrying it. As far as my photography go, a lot of people been asking me, you know, if I'm still doing photography. That's still on hold right now. Mm-hmm. Just like I said before, I want everything to be back to normal. Yeah. Before I really go back full pledge into
now, are you
photography.
doing any, personal photography?
Nothing right now. Completely shut it down for right now, man. That's the way I would like it to be. I'm not saying it has to be that way, but that's the way I would like it.
And that was a big stigma for me getting the speed lights and playing with the lighting because I'm stuck here in the house with the kids. Mm-hmm. And, they so tired of me taking their picture,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, get my daughter to pose up with the backdrops and stuff just because I'm still trying to keep it fresh. You know what I'm saying? So when outside does open up, I ain't rusty.
Ready to go.
Right.
But I'm okay with being rusty. I'm okay with that. And it's because I was joking with my homie BP, the official. Shout out to him, man. It was a dope dude, signed by Empire, all that good stuff. But anyway, I was joking with him the other day because I was like, you know, when I get back to my photography, I want it to be like I have no limitations. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get back to it like, all right, I can't do that yet. And I just hate that feeling, man. I want to be able to do it. Like, if you're a basketball player, you want to get on the court. You don't want to be like, I can't dunk today. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Or I can't do layups, like I can't dunk, but I can shoot free.
My hamstring.
Yeah, nah, man, you want to be able to get on that court and do your thing because at the end of the day, that's your brand. It's quality control. You know, if people are expecting you to be 100%, you can't be that guy that's giving excuses. And so I don't want to be that guy to be in a situation where, man, if I could, I would. Like, nah, bro. So I'm completely focused on my podcast right now. And that's cool because it's been growing and, everybody's been showing the support I need. And, we'll see where it goes from here. I'm on the way to hitting iHeartRadio Podcast Award.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to be hitting you up for some pointers.
For sure, man. I got you.
No doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my conversation with King Legend. I appreciate you coming through, bro.
Not a problem, man. God bless.
Yeah, bro.